Hi, I'm Larry King. You know, you could be, through no fault of your own, one of the tens of millions of people in our country with a lower credit score than you deserve, without even being late with one payment. Sound crazy? Well, in 2012, the FTC conducted a major study that showed that 1 of every 5 Americans had at least one error on one of their credit reports. In their follow-up study in 2015, 70% of consumers believe their information is still inaccurate. Well, tonight, on this Larry King special report, Is Your Credit in Crisis? One of the country's greatest credit experts is going to reveal the inside credit secrets you need to turn your financial life around. John Olsheimer is a nationally recognized expert on credit reporting, credit scoring, and identity theft. Formerly of FICO and Equifax, he's the only recognized credit expert who actually comes from the credit industry. Welcome, John.
Larry, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
John, for those of us who live in Beverly Hills, what credit crisis?
Well, Larry, look, even though things may be great for you, 1 out of 3 Americans have low credit scores. 1 out of 3. So let's say I take you with your incredible credit score and one of the tens of millions of people with a low credit score into a car dealership. You will be in and out with your brand new car in record time. But how many of your viewers identify with the other scenario? You're buying a car for your wife or grown child to get to work safely. You fill out all the forms and you're sweating, waiting for your salesman to come back from the finance office. Finally, after what seems like hours, he comes back, looks you in the eye and says, "We have to decline your loan today," right? You feel like you're just punched in the gut. But why, you ask? He looks down at the floor and says, "I'm sorry, I can't tell you that. You'll be getting a letter in the mail in the next few days that will explain why," and turns and walks away, leaving you alone.
Ooh, ouch. What do you tell the family when you get home?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you want to crawl into a hole, hope everything will get better on its own. The problem will fix itself. It's like a bad dream, Larry, but it's not a bad dream. It is real, and the problem will not fix itself.
And it's just from your credit report?
Yes, sir. That is just the tip of the iceberg, Larry. It can cost you a loan, a home, a cell phone, a reasonable interest rate, a credit card, even a job.
It's hard to believe one piece of paper can have that devastating effect.
That's a very good point. 1 out of every 3 Americans, Larry, if not you, the person living next door.
Let's break away for a moment and hear from some people just like you and how they're dealing with their credit in crisis.
I had a really successful business, and it was driven by credit. And I was doing great volume one day, and I was out of business the next. I lost my farm, I lost my house, it caused a heart attack, I went through a divorce, and I tried to pick up the pieces.
For me to have to say, I cannot get you something for Christmas, that was like the worst.
You can't imagine when you're trying to get something and everybody tells you no, and you know you're worthy, but because of what's happened in the past, it kind of tears you down.
Seeing my little girl and not being able to buy her a house or a place where she can play. And the credit bureaus don't care. They don't care, and the collection agencies, they don't care. They just want the money. And that's what's hard about it is I don't have the money. I make a ton of money. I'm an engineer. And I can't even buy a house with all the money I make, and it's hard.
Wow, so much suffering.
Well, look, you feel helpless. And why shouldn't you, Larry? The credit bureaus keep a file on all of us, and there's absolutely nothing we can do to stop them. These credit files go wherever we go. They follow us around, no matter what we do. And they store negative information on us for up to 10 years.
That long? That's a good chunk of your life.
A very good chunk, yes. And with lenders, you cannot dictate which of the 3 credit reports they're going to pull when you apply for something. It is entirely up to them. You have no control how they use your credit reports or how they use your credit scores. And by the way, you have no right to a good credit report or a good credit score. And unfortunately for many of us, the deck is stacked against us because of errors on our credit reports that are simply not our fault.
Now, you were actually employed by both FICO and Equifax.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
So you have a real insider's view that few others have.
Look, when a major credit story breaks, the news media calls on me to put it in perspective for them.
As a top authority in the field, can you explain what credit scores actually mean?
Gladly. That's actually a great question. There are two main credit score brands. One is the FICO score, and one is the Vantage score. And generally, these two scores are going to score your credit between 300 and up to 850. And the higher your number, the less risk to credit card companies, landlords, utilities, anyone else you're doing business with. Consumers with excellent credit scores, usually around 760 or higher, are given the lowest interest rates, the highest credit limits, the lowest premiums on insurance policies. But if your score is lower, as everyone out there watching probably knows, it can quickly turn into a financial nightmare, not just for you, but also for your family. In 2016, Experian, one of the 3 national credit reporting agencies, reported in their 7th annual State of Credit report that the nation's average credit score was 673, and that's based on the Vantage Score 3.0 model, very common, that rates credit between 300 and 850.
So a majority of Americans are paying through the nose for credit.
Through the nose, Larry. Millions of dollars more than they would if they had a higher score. And here's how they break the scores down, Larry. Excellent credit, 750 and above. Poor credit, 649 and below. And the reality is, unless your credit is good to excellent, you're going to be losing boatloads of money because you're simply not getting the best deals that lenders have to offer.
When we return, John Alzheimer will give you a free tool that instantly shows you all the money you're losing on the interest you're paying.
I've worked for the post office for 28 years. I'm a 9/11 survivor, as a matter of fact. I sustained respiratory issues as a result of working during Ground Zero. I literally fell into very strong financial challenges to the point where it even led to homelessness and me sleeping in my van sometimes.
You have nothing, no money, no credit, nothing left. The bank took all your machinery. They come with the tow truck. You work so hard to build something and make it in life, and it all gets taken away.
Me and my wife were on verge of getting divorced. Money was just too much of a stress. Credit couldn't do anything. You know, it was pretty much like we were working just to pay bills. There was no enjoyment out of anything.
I even missed a job at the hospital. They checked my credit score, and because of that, even though I had the certifications to have that job, I didn't get it, and it was only due to a low credit score.
John, I know that a bad credit report can prevent you from purchasing a car or home, but I never realized how much that your credit score affects the interest rates you're offered.
Oh, they're so important, Larry, and frankly, few people do. And that's why I thought it was so important to come on your show today and discuss this. You just make the assumption that you're all being treated the same, but the truth is, you're not being treated the same, far from it.
Let's take a phone call from Erica in Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, Erica. You're on the phone with credit expert John Alzheimer.
Hi, John. You're telling me that my neighbor living right next door might be paying less money for everything than I am just because he has a higher credit score?
Not might. That's absolutely correct, Erica. But look, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so let me show you the reality. And in a moment, I'll give you a free website where you can put in your own numbers and do this for yourself. The rates change daily, so make sure you check yours often. Example, let's say you're financing $500,000 for a mortgage for 30 years, a very common loan. If your FICO credit score is in the low range of 620 to 639, you'll be paying an interest rate of a little over 5.1% for a total amount of interest paid of over $483,000. If your FICO score is at the highest level, you'll pay a little over 3.5% for a total interest paid of a little over $315,000 over that 30-year period.
Wait a minute. That's almost a difference of $170,000. Wait, you're paying 50% more money.
Exactly right, Larry, for the same house. You're paying 1/3 more for the same house.
And someone wouldn't have any idea that they're being treated so poorly because of the credit score?
No, sir. they'd likely assume it's the same for everyone. They're forced to pay it because they're desperate. They want a house.
Here's the website to go and run your own interest rate numbers yourselves.
Look, there are no classes on credit score management at any level of academia. No one learns about this stuff in school. Each one of us is left to learn through trial and error. And in the credit world, an error can lead to a 7 to 10-year penalty.
Which credit bureaus do our viewers have to be concerned with?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There are many, countless almost, but primarily only 3 of them really matter: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian.
And you used to work for Equifax.
Yes, sir, I did. These credit bureaus each maintain well over 200 million credit files, and here's the critical part, Larry. They do not share credit information with each other. They're competitors. So rarely are your credit reports going to be the same.
What if someone in the audience doesn't know what's on their credit reports? Aren't they essentially flying blind?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely well said. They are flying blind. And our viewers need to know what's on their credit reports, Larry. And there are a lot of services out there that unfortunately will take your money to provide that service that are going to want to charge you for your credit reports. Do not fall for it. Every year you're entitled to your free credit reports. Just go to the website.
This down. Knowledge is power. Find out in black and white what's on your credit report. It's the first major step to making a big change for the better.
Larry, you nailed it. And most people will be surprised, if not shocked, what they find. You'll receive credit reports from all 3 of the major agencies so you can pair them next to each other.
Completely free?
Absolutely, 100% completely free. In fact, you can leave your credit card in your wallet because you're not going to need it. But it's the little things that will often hurt you, maybe more often. Things that your audience simply is not aware of.
Like what?
Larry, let's say you make a late payment on your mortgage. If you pay just 30 days late, someone with a credit score of 780, which is a great credit score, it will take an entire 3 years to recover, and that's only if you catch up that 30-day late payment.
Wait a minute, 3 years for one single late payment?
I know, it's hard to believe, right? And what if that 30-day late payment isn't actually correct? It's wrong. The last recognized study on credit report accuracy was performed in 2012 by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. And in that study, the FTC found that 1 in 5 consumers had at least one error on their credit reports.
Well, that's around 50 million Americans. That's a huge portion of our audience watching right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Larry. In 2015, the FTC did a follow-up study and discovered that those who reported an unresolved error on one of their credit reports still believe that the disputed information is still inaccurate. And get this, Larry, the credit reporting agencies cannot tell the difference between an accurate credit report and one that contains errors. They are not your lender. They're not the source of the information that resides on your credit reports.
So they're the warehouse.
Absolutely right. They're the warehouse. And when it comes right down to it, only you, the borrower, the consumer, can tell the difference between something that's accurate and something that is inaccurate on your credit reports. And only you can ask for that false information to be corrected.
And if you don't ask, no one's going to bother to know or bother to correct the errors, and you're the one that gets penalized.
You cannot assume that your credit reports are great just because you always pay your bills on time. The only way to know for sure is to check them.
John, what's the craziest piece of information you've ever seen in a consumer's credit report?
Well, I have actually seen, Larry, credit reports showing a consumer to be dead.
And they were alive. And they had no clue that one of their lenders reported them dead to a credit bureau?
They were very much alive, and you are correct. They did not have a clue. In fact, the only way they found out about it was when they went to apply for credit, and the lender denied them because their credit report listed them as being deceased. And, of course, logically, deceased people can't apply for credit.
Stephen in Washington, D.C., you're on the line. What's your question for John?
I've learned more about credit on your show than I ever knew.
Thank you, Stephen. That's very nice of you. Look, this stuff is not taught in schools. And when you're young and receive your first credit card, guess what's missing? There is no instruction manual that comes with it. The road to maintaining good credit is filled with landmines, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, I got to do something to get out of my financial mess. So what's the solution?
Stefan, there is a solution. It's real, it's affordable, and it's so simple.